Welcome to the Killshot MMA podcast. I'm Sniper. With me, as always, is Monk. We got UFC Fight Night Lewis versus TEIXEIRA. The Black Beast is back. We are back after a 4th of July holiday. Going to cover all 12 fights on this card, talking DraftKings, DFS strategy, maybe throw in some bets as well. Monk, how was your holiday? I enjoyed mine up at Legoland. What'd you get up to?
Not too much. Checked out some fireworks. Had a nice, relaxing weekend. It was very much needed. Ready to get back into fights. This card is a card, and I think do we have a pay-per-view next week?
I believe so. It's
the
pay-per-view with the BMF title on the line that Dana's trying to sell everybody is really good.
That's right. So yeah, it's the build up to that. There are some good fights on this card. Interesting DraftKings card for sure, especially if you like to spend money on salary. So we will get into that.
I think there's actually some good fights on this card. Is the name value a little lacking? Sure, but I think there's some fun fights. Before we dig into them, do me a favor, smash the like button wherever you are watching this. If you are watching it live, welcome. Drop a comment. Really on YouTube, I think is where I can see the comments. We'll answer some questions along the way. Do these Tuesday nights of Fight Week around 9:30 Eastern Time. Recording posted on the DFS Army YouTube and X pages everywhere in DFS Army. Make sure you get in DFS Army. We got cheat sheets, Domination Station Optimizer to help build your lineups, all the tools there in the description. Check that out. Join us in DFS Army. I'll see you in the Discord live on Tuesday nights. Make sure you smash the like button. Got some people in here already. Nice little early crowd. Trying to answer those questions as they come in. And let's go ahead and let's jump right into the fight. I think I'm done asking, Monk. We're just going to start here at the bottom of the card. And we're going to go Fatima Klein, Melissa Martinez. Fatima Klein, yes, minus 1,200. What a start we are off to. Currently, actually, minus 1,849 on Jazz. Minus 1,800 at Caesars. Whew, man.
Oh, my God.
Come back on Klein, about plus 800-ish, that ballpark. Come back on Martinez, I should say, if I didn't. But all that being said, fight goes to decision, minus 130. Has some pretty big DraftKings implications here. Theme of this card we're going to talk about is because there are a lot of big favorites, some of these salaries get a little bit out of control. And Fatima Klein, we're starting off right with the biggest outlier here, $9,900 for Fatima Klein. While she's a big favorite, her fight is favored to go to decision. The comeback on Melissa Martinez will cost you a ham sandwich, Happy Meal, or 6,300 DraftKings dollars. Monk, what you got? First fight back from our break.
Yes, sir. We're gonna have to obviously pick Fatima Klein here. I mean, she should just be. I mean, she has the distinct grappling advantage, most likely. I mean, the control time is there. She has okay striking. It's not like super volume filled, but obviously, being training and stuff with Erin Blanchfield, she's going to have a huge grappling upside for sure. Martinez, the loss to Elise Reed is never good, but she did land 3 of 3 takedowns in 3.5 minutes of control, and I believe she scored like 31 points in that loss. She beat Alice Ardeline, which isn't saying a ton, and only scored 60, but whatever she scores in this one, as long as it's 30 or 40, you're probably getting a win. You're probably getting not an actual win, but a win on DraftKings. That's a win for me. As long as she doesn't get absolutely dominated by Klein, I think she's in a decent punt. Probably not much more than that. I expect Klein to, maybe not look like a minus 8. Like the big favorite. So I just can't play her. I mean, 9,900, I can play maybe a little bit in GPPs, but what did she even do? I mean, she lost to Jasmine, which is a tough loss for sure. She only scored 23 points in that one. That's 1.6 points a minute. She scored 5 points a minute against Dudakova in a second-round win, made optimal lineup at 9,800. That was back in January, first card of the year this year. So she has proven that she can make optimal at these kind of salaries, but still, she only scored 117 points or something like that in that win. And I think she's going to need much more to do that this time. So I'm picking Klein, but I cannot play a bunch of her.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. I'm not going to play any of her. And yes, she could get there because she did it once before. But on this card, we still got it. Mike Davis in a great spot. Vitor Patrino, both cost less money. She's got to outscore both of them. Is really what you're banking on. I don't see two of those fighters ending up in the optimal. Maybe two, and that's a reach if a couple dogs come through and the salaries kind of work out. Regardless, I agree with you. I'm picking Klein. She is better, but it's not like Martinez is a total is bad. She's 1-1 in the UFC. She's fine. I think she's going to hang around the UFC. This line it feels a bit wide. I don't know if I can bet on Melissa Martinez. I don't think I'm that confident here, but
yeah.
Well, I'm picking Klein. I don't know how you play her. And Martinez, while we're here, it's a little hard because it's the first fight we're talking about. Of those super punts, which on this card, it's Mike Davis is fighting Mitch Ramirez, Vitor Patrino is fighting Austin Lane, Eduardo Mora is fighting Lauren Murphy. Those are the super punts, 6,700 and under. Of those, 4 fighters with a favoritist priced at 9,500 or above. Melissa Martinez, I think, is the most playable dog of all of them in all formats. As a pure punt, if anyone's going to pull an upset, I don't think anybody will, but if anybody's going to, she would be my pick there. Cash game viable, expected to go to decision. I will take Melissa Martinez, and I'll take my chances leaving Fatima Klein alone out of all of my lineups. And by the way, I stopped that list short for a reason. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. What I'm going to get yelled at for later. Can't wait for that. All right, let's go ahead and let's move on to Mike Davis. Well, big favorites again, taking on Mitch Ramirez. Mike Davis ranges from -900 to -1100. I have a nasty thunderstorm outside, so if I drop, Monk's going to take you guys the rest of the way. It's so hot and humid up here in New York that you're getting those Florida-type thunderstorms. I'm sure you guys didn't hear that, but holy shit. Mitch Ramirez around +5 to 700, somewhere in that ballpark. Fight, I'm going to guess this ends inside the distance here. It is at -190. Yeah, that's about right. And your DraftKings salaries for this one, I alluded to earlier. Mike Davis is 9,800, so you get a $100 discount off of Fatima Klein. Mitch Ramirez is 6,400. Bunk, who you got?
I really like Mike Davis. I like his style, especially for DraftKings. He will throw a decent amount of strikes for the most part. He will shoot and land takedowns, and he will rack up control time. And really, what else could you ask for? And he's throwing up submissions. He's throwing up reversals. Like, he got 3 reversals on Faraziem. So he's scoring pretty much everywhere, and we absolutely love to see that. Everybody's kind of slacking on him for the ZM fight, and I kind of get it. ZM, found that witch doctor, and now he's super good after going back to the UFC. But let's keep in mind, last time I hear, at least Mike Davis, not that this is a defense, but has Lyme disease, I think. But last fight in the Abu Dhabi card was the infamous paint fumes fight, where not just Mike Davis, but several fighters on the card complained of overwhelmingly strong paint fumes that fucked with their headaches, vision, possibly, so. Not that that's an excuse, but I don't think we can just put it all, all of our, we can't just throw Mike Davis to the curb after that one. Beat Borshev, and people are like, he didn't even finish Borshev. Well, we probably didn't want him to. He landed 4.5 strikes a minute, 9 of 11 takedowns, 8 minutes of control time, and he ended up scoring like 122 points against Thomas Gifford, which doesn't mean much. He scored 134. His other wins are like 90 and barely above. So we're going to need much more output from Mike Davis than those 90-point ones. Thankfully, he's fighting Mitch Ramirez, who has probably the worst. He probably thought this was super clever. One of the worst nicknames in the UFC. Mitch the Fight Stalker Ramirez. If you don't know what that is, look up Richard Ramirez Chicago, and it'll tell you why I think that's dumb as hell. But he got outstruck. It's a dumbass nickname. He got outstruck by Thiago Moises. Not good. Taken down 2 times, controlled for 6 of 10 minutes. I just think Mike Davis should be able to have his way with this guy. As long as there's no freshly painted locker rooms, Mike Davis should come out here, land takedowns, laying ground and pound, and probably get a finish. So I do like him much more than Fatima Klein at 9,900. It's still going to be difficult to get to him, but I am going to get him in my lineups where I can. I think he's good in all formats.
Pretty much the same. I'm going to go ahead and not full fade Mitch Ramirez. Look, I'll be in all of the large disparity fights. I'm fading someone. I'm fading Fatima Klein. I'm fading Mitch Ramirez, and hint, hint, I'm going to fade Austin Lane. Mike Davis is my second favorite option up in this area here, and price has a little bit to do with it. More, I think Vitor Patrino is more likely to get the 60-second bonus, and that gives him the ever so slight edge. But I really like Mike Davis as a fighter, other than I think he is really talented. One of the highest fight IQs, I think, in the UFC. If he's got the advantage striking, he's going to outstrike you and use takedown defense. If he has the advantage grappling, he'll take you down. He is very well rounded and smart enough to use where he has his advantages, and he's high volume. There's nothing not to like about Mike Davis. I would like him and Faraziem to run it back at some point. I would be really interested in that. Regardless, give me Mike Davis everywhere, wherever you can fit him. A touch behind Vitor Patrino in terms of who I want to pay for the super pay up, but I will run some double punt, some super dog lineups or some 3 underdog lineups that include both of these guys. Like them both. Mike Davis pretty much everywhere. I think Mitch Ramirez gets cut after this fight. Let's move on and let's talk about a closer fight. Yes. Kennedy Injulu and Walter Walker. Injulu minus 210. Walker plus 180. Fight ends inside the distance minus 150. Kind of that would be a little bit wider, but okay. That's what we're looking for in terms what we have in terms of a line. DraftKings salaries here. Injulu is priced at I'm too high on that. Let's see, 8,800. Walter Walker is 74. Monk, we got the big boys, and finally, I think a competitive fight. Who you got?
Yeah, for sure. One of the foremost, one of the later heavyweight fights that I've actually kind of been looking forward to lately. They've been stinkers for sure. And Kennedy, is not the only one that's moved up to heavyweight lately that we'll be talking about. One of the guys you just talked about is making his debut there. But yeah, he's had 2 fights at heavyweight since his OSP loss. What a terrible loss that was. And I'm judging him very harshly on that one for sure. Losing to Dustin Jacoby, no shame in that. Lost to Nicky Gums, there is shame in that. And then Dawoon Jung, I mean, that loss has not aged well at all. He's beating Carl Roberson, Kutalaba, Devin Clark. He moves up to heavyweight, fights Chris Barnett and Lukasz Brzeski, who's somehow still in the UFC.
Hey, don't you disparage Chris Barnett.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Lukasz Brzeski. No, he'll always have a good place in my heart for that front flip. That was just that combination was the greatest thing probably I've ever seen. But Walter Walker loses to Brzeski in a decision. On paper he didn't lose that. He 4 or 5 takedowns, controlled half the fight. Beats Junior Tafa, beats Dante Almeida, subbed them both in the first round. So we do like to see that out of heavyweights for sure. Kennedy Injulu is just, he's the striker. He's not going to land any takedowns. No one's really attempted too many takedowns on him, which is the important thing. That said, let's see, Nicky Gums, Nikolai Negomarianu took him down 1 time and he lost that fight. Kutalaba took him down twice. A couple people have attempted, but no one's really going hard on the takedowns like Walter Walker is probably going to. I mean, he's landed, 7 out of 10 in his first 3 UFC fights. He's going for the takedowns. He's going for the control time, and he's going for the submission as well. Kennedy has been subbed once. Walter's never been finished. Bottom line is I think the line is a bit too wide. I don't think Kennedy should be a minus whatever he is at $8,800 salary to $7,400. What is he, minus 200? I just don't see it, man. I think Walter can take him down. If he can't, he's going to have a big problem. If Walter can take him down, could be a long night for Injulu, or it could be a short night with some hurt joints on the arm or even a heel hook or something like that. So give me Walter Walker. I'm picking him straight up as a dog, and I think he has a better DraftKings upside, to be completely honest.
Yeah, this is a pretty binary fight. I think if Walter can't get the fight to the ground, Kennedy will light him up on the feet, and I don't like the way Walker takes strikes. By the way, that loss to Brzeski, that is the height of UFC judging hates wrestling. And to be fair, he didn't do anything with his takedowns. There was a lot of fat man hugging. So I understand. So while on paper he didn't lose it, I get why he lost it. And while I do love grappling, I get the balance we're trying to strike. It just at times it's gone way too far. Kennedy Injulu, on the other hand, moving up to heavyweight has looked okay. 81% takedown defense is probably a different animal. But it's pretty binary in terms of outcomes. I agree with you. I do think Walker can get takedowns. That is going to be my fight pick. I do think the line is too wide. I don't mind mixing in a little bit of Walker, a Walker bet, a Walker ITD bet. I think both are fine. I will say on DraftKings, though, there are enough fights that I want one side of or none of, that this is going to be higher on my list. I'm still, while I'm picking against Kennedy, I'm going to be field weight. I don't think I'll be much under on Kennedy. I'll go field weight on Kennedy, over on Walter. It's not my favorite fight. There's a couple I'm jamming all my chips in the middle of for. World Series of Poker style, since it's going on. This isn't quite one of those, but it's a high exposure fight for sure. That, once again, to reiterate, I will be picking the underdog in Walter Walker. Let's shuffle on over to Lauren Murphy.
I got that one right over here, actually.
Lauren Lucky Murphy, plus 425. Eduardo Mora, minus 600. Fight goes to decision, minus 260. I will say, on face alone, minus 260 to go to decision. If you want to tell me you want to punt Lauren Murphy in cash games, I am totally fine with that. Just for a straight up floor, that is fine on DraftKings. I think Mora beats her up pretty good, and I'll do my breakdown in a second. But regardless, even if, that's the difference between fight picking and DraftKings. If Murphy can make it 3 rounds at her price tag of 6,700, she's just fine in all formats. Eduardo Mora, on the other hand, has got to pay off at 9,500. So, Monk, what do you make of that?
That's exactly right. And I don't see how Eduardo Mora is going to pay that off. I mean, you can say that she did. She averages a good DraftKings score per win. It's like 101.56, which is fine. It's not good enough to pay off 9,500 for the most part. She scored very well in her DWCS fight. If you put points on that, in her in the Conejo Ruiz fight, she scored 127, made the optimal lineup. That's fantastic. But Ruiz is not good. She's very small, even for or especially for that was at strawweight. Yeah, so extremely small, even for strawweight. No reach. She's fun to watch, but I mean, she doesn't really do a ton. Then Mora loses to Denise Gomes by split decision, scores 45, and then she beats Veronica Hardy, which I think is a pretty decent win. Her first women's flyweight fight. She scores 66 points in that one. So how the hell does she pay it off against Lauren Murphy, who has been finished, I believe, 1 time in her entire career? So out of 6 losses, just 1 finish.
Her 600-year career, though, is the worry.
Yeah, exactly. 41. There's a lot of aging fighters on the. I know technically we're all aging, but she's a bit more aged.
At this point, if a fighter's older than me, it's a giant red flag, and that is really upsetting to say. But if you're older than me, I got worries.
For sure. And the big worry here for Murphy is going to be the takedowns of Moira, who has landed several in all of her fights. 3 of 3 against Ruiz, 5 of 26 against Denise Gomes. She still lost that fight. And then 3 of 4 against Hardy. Now, that sounds like a lot. Miesha Tate went 0 for 7 against Murphy in takedowns. That's gigantic. The one time Murphy was taken down, pretty much, well, not the one time. I mean, Charier took her down once. There are occasional one or 2 takedown fights. It was Valentina.
Hang on. Because you hit on the missed takedowns. You didn't look at Murphy's last fight, where she was 0 of 15 against Jessica Andrade. But in each of their last fights, if you add it up, it's like 30 missed takedowns. It's among the craziest stats I've ever seen. I thought that's where you were going. Sorry to jump in, but I was breaking it down. I was like, hold on, that's a lot of missed takedowns.
In her last 2 fights of the Andrade and the Miesha Tate fight, she's combined 2 of 21 takedowns for Lauren Murphy. But no one outside of Valentina Shevchenko, regarded as the best flyweight in women's flyweight there is, has taken her down. That's it. So Mora's going to have her probably be able to do it, but 5 of 26 against Gomez is not a great look. And like I said, Murphy stuffed all 7 of Miesha Tate's takedowns at 39. Bottom line is, like you said, I think she's a decent punt. I'm picking Mora to win. I don't see how in the world she pays off this salary. I am completely fading Mora. If she beats me, as you like to say, then she beats me. But that's a risk I'm willing to take here. I'm not going to have a ton of Murphy, but I will have some, probably mostly in cash, to be honest.
Same. I could start building my cash lineups. The problem is that there's a fighter cheaper than Murphy, or not cheaper, sorry, a little bit more expensive than Murphy that I'm picking to win straight up. A little bit more risky for sure. That'll be I hinted at it earlier. It's Stephen Thompson. I'm going to pick an old wonder boy, but that's going to come, his floor is 5. He could get knocked out. Murphy is probably going to put up some points. So you can full punt Murphy in cash games, GPPs. Even if she wins, I don't think she's going to pay off this number. That's my real struggle. I think she's become more and more just a cash play, and I think that's fine. I will for sure be underweight to Mora as well, which is why, I said earlier, there's quite a few spots I'm going to be playing a ton of both sides of the fight, and kind of these early fights are why, because I'm just going to be stronger on one side. Karma from DFS Army Discord jumping in. I will have 0 Murphy in GPPs. I think that's totally fine. And in cash games, you don't have to play her. The point is she's a consideration.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Jake Matthews and Chidi Njokwani. Jake Matthews is the dog, plus 135. Chidi Bang Bang is the favorite at minus 155. I realize how white and awful I sounded saying that, but it had to be done. Fight goes to decision is minus 165. Your DraftKings salaries for this fight. Chidi, this is our mid-range fight. Chidi is 8,200. Matthews is 8,000. Monk, when I first looked at this fight, I saw mid-range. I thought, okay, we got some exposure. I'm not going to tell you where I finished on that thought. How do you have this one?
Yeah, I was thinking that too at first, but honestly, I put this as I think my only, maybe there's another one, 2-star fight on the card. I'm just not interested in this one. Like, if there's any,
I made that too obvious where I was going, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, if there's any DraftKings upside, I think it does lie with Chidi. I think he has the higher ceiling for sure. But if this one's minus 165 to go to decision, which I agree with, Jake Matthews not the greatest scorer in the world. Chidi Njokwani, I mean, he's looked pretty good at welterweight. In fact, by pretty good, I mean undefeated at 3-0. Reese McKee, whatever, beat a tough Jared Gooden, scored 100 points there, and scored almost 99 against Zaleski dos Santos. A really tough finish there, and he found it in 7 minutes. So I am pretty impressed with that. His salary is fine at 8,200. I think, like I said, he's got all of the major upside there. He's the one that's made the optimal lineup. Jake Matthews has not in 4 wins since 2021, while Chidi has made it in 4 of 5 wins. Both guys have put 2 of their 3 opponents since 2021 on the optimal lineup as well. So that kind of says, don't full fade it, but this is by no means a fight that I'm focused on. I mean, I'm picking Chidi. I could have easily picked Jake Matthews. It's kind of a 50-50 fight, in my opinion, maybe 55-45. But like I said, I think the DraftKings upside lies squarely on Njokwani, just because we never know if Matthews is going to use the wrestling. Like, if he does, then great. He's going to win most likely. But if not, he's not going to do much of anything. So, and that said, I mean, Chidi's takedown defense too. So,
yeah, Chidi's got good takedown defense. He's bigger. I think he's going to be physically stronger. Got a long reach. Like, it's going to be hard for Matthews to close the distance. Chidi uses his length pretty well. I tend to agree with you. I think Chidi's got the one with more upside who could get a finish. I lean that way for, again, the reach and the strength advantages. I'm actually, as a fight fan, I'm really interested in this fight. I think it's a good fight. It's a close fight, really interesting. That's why I was excited to break it down, talk DFS, and I went, neither one of these guys just gets a ton of takedowns. Neither one's high volume. Chidi could get, can get a knockout, but that minus 160 goes to decision number kind of is a turn off, and there's other spots I like. So pretty much agree with the breakdown. I'm going to take Chidi as well, and I'll have a little bit of him in DraftKings. Depending where ownership comes in, which again, make sure you're joined up at DFS Army, link in the descriptions to get all access to all the tools and cheat sheets, including the ownership, which I use. Thankfully, that's not a part of the tool that I'm responsible for, because it's probably my weakness, is projecting ownership. But I likely will be, I'll definitely be under on field or under on Matthews, and I'm probably field on Chidi, maybe a touch over if he's super low owned, but I don't think he will because of the salaries. I'm
Sure.
I'm eyeballing like 15-ish to 20-ish% GD.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
That's just not a high exposure look here. All right, let's talk Chris Curtis, Max Griffin. Oh, I love me trashing some Chris Curtis.
Fighter.
Personally, super surprised Curtis has not been suspended and yanked from this card. Like,
What did he do?
Oh, you didn't see the video of him and Sean Strickland jumping in the cage?
I didn't realize he was there too. I definitely saw Sean Strickland fucking power walking over to that.
Yeah,
that
Curtis is the one who gets between them and then shoves the guy too. Like, Sean Strickland's the bigger offender, but Chris Curtis just as involved. So
he's like the little bully in Christmas Story.
I'm a little surprised this fight's still on. We'll see what happens. Minus 315 for Chris Curtis. Comeback on Max Payne Griffin is plus 265. Fight goes to decision, minus 210. DraftKings salaries for this one. The real problem here, Chris Curtis is 9,100. Griffin is 7,100. Monk, give us the stats.
Yeah, I picked Chris Curtis to win. I think he's probably got Max Griffin covered almost everywhere, and that's just because of his, historically great takedown defense. I know it's been let up a little bit. He used to be above 90%. Kopylov took him down once. The big one was Brendan Allen. 6 of 13 is what Chris Curtis allowed that kind of, and Nasruddin Imavov as well. 3 of 4. Those two kind of, you can't even say tanked his number because it's still, 83%. Max Griffin is obviously the wrestler, whereas Chris Curtis is relatively one-dimensional. In fact, he's never landed one. I don't think he's ever even attempted a takedown, but definitely not in his last 10 fights. So we obviously know what he's going to do. He's much more of a counter striker than a blitz kind of striker. He doesn't land knockdowns hardly at all. He knocked down Buckley and Brendan Allen and Phil Hawes. That was it in his last 10 fights, and those last two were his 9th and 10th fight ago. So this goes to decision. Like, it's going to be a pretty low-scoring affair. It's minus 210 to go to decision. And, yeah, if Max Griffin can land takedowns, that's fine. But Chris Curtis, he's probably, first of all, not going to be able to land a ton. Second of all, Curtis really doesn't get taken down a ton. But in the fights where he does get taken down by, like, Allen and Imavov, he's also getting out-controlled. He's also getting outstruck. And that never is a good combination for Chris Curtis. So if Griffin starts to land 1 or 2 takedowns, this fight will get very interesting very quick. But I don't think he's going to be able to land a ton. I think Chris Curtis is going to be able to counter-strike him. I think he's going to frustrate Max Griffin. And I don't think I want to play much of this one. Like, I'll play a little bit of Curtis. I'll play some of Max Griffin just because he's a little bit very cheap for the most part. But still, what is his average salary? I have no idea. It's pretty low. It is 8,000. So yeah, he's 900 under his average, whereas Chris Curtis is $1,500 over his average salary. I don't know how you're playing this one. I mean, he has made optimal twice in 5 wins, but that's nothing to write home about, really. And he's $9,100 now, so might be the most expensive he's ever been. It's definitely up there. I'm going to kind of fade him a little bit. I'm picking him to win, but this fight just doesn't excite me too much. I don't even think Max Griffin has a ton of upside here.
But it's the better DK play. And I'm picking Chris Curtis.
That's true.
I know. I can't let my hatred of the character get involved in my fight picking. Wish I could. But look, Chris Curtis is just going to strike, and the fight is minus 2, whatever it was, to go to decision at over 9K. Can't play it on DraftKings or have to be underweight to it. You just have to be underweight to it. It's a simple statistical problem that you are just bringing, like how you attack DFS in the long term.
I mean, look at the names around it. Like, how are you taking Curtis over those guys?
Exactly. Max Griffin live, but I agree. I don't think he wins the fight. I do agree with the line. I think Curtis should be a decent sized favorite here. Maybe a little wide, but yeah, I like minus 2 to 250 is probably the right number. It's probably ballooned up a little bit more than what I would line it at, but I don't think I'm going to run back a Griffin bet either because he'll need the takedown to mix it. Griffin's good because he can mix it up a little, kind of similar to Mike Davis, but the results quite haven't been there. And Max Griffin is a guy who, over the course of his UFC career, has gotten better. Probably towards the back end of that career now, but props to him. He's had a nice UFC career. think this is a rough spot for him. I think Curtis stops the takedowns and is a better striker. I will say that if Griffin can turn this into a bloody firefight, which we've seen him in a few of them, I don't know if I love Curtis in that spot. I just don't think he's going to have to walk through so much to get there to do that against Chris Curtis. I don't think it happens. But if he can drag Curtis into that type of fight, he is live. I will not be fading Max Griffin. He's a fine secondary underdog. I will be underweight to Chris Curtis, but he does have to be the straight up pick. Right, let's move on to the main card, and I get to talk shit about Atafa. It's not a UFC fight night unless I get to talk shit about one of the Tafa brothers. Junior Tafa taking on George, or now I'm going to call him Tuco Tokos. Tafa is minus 160 against the guy who's gotten a UFC takedown before. I don't get this one, so you know what side I'm on already, clearly. Not that Toko should be like minus 200. That's crazy, but I'm not laying minus 160 wood on a Tafa. Plus 140 for Tokos. Fight and inside the distance, minus 600. Got them big boys. And finally, big boys who are going to be swanging and banging. 8,600 for Tafa. 7,600 for Tuco Tokos. Clearly, I've tipped my hand where I'm going. Monk, where are you going?
There's several weight class changes on this card I'm just now seeing. I always forget to look at that. But yeah, this is another one. This is Tafa's light heavyweight debut. And it's probably a good thing. He was always kind of a smaller heavyweight, especially when compared to his brother. But yeah, like you said, Tokos can and has landed takedowns. He landed one against Jean Menyang, the heavyweight GOAT, and then 3 of 9 against Navo Sterling.
Yeah, I'm right, the heavyweight GOAT.
Exactly. Yeah. Who's he? He's fighting. I don't remember. You can tell me. I forget who it is. He's fighting on that China card in the main event apparently. But yeah, Sterling. That loss was a very close fight. He did get outstruck. Tokos did, but he landed 3 of 9 takedowns, 3.5 minutes of control, and lost a unanimous decision. Sterling, I don't think is terribly good. We've seen how not good Omar Sy has looked, and we've seen how indestructible Jean Menyang is. So he's fought some okay heavyweights. And Junior Tafa, like you said, if he gets taken down, this fight is probably over. I mean, Sharaf took him down once, but Sharaf is probably not even in that was probably a one and done. Walter Walker took him down, controlled him, and subbed him in a minute or in the first round. DeLima took him down, controlled him. Usman took him down and controlled him for 12 minutes. So obviously Tuco Tokos might be a little bit small for this weight class. Not according to height or anything. I guess not. He just always kind of seems small to me for some reason, but maybe I'm thinking of the wrong guy because he is 6'4". Yeah, you got to play this fight. This is way closer of a 50-50 fight than the line indicates, in my opinion. Tafa could have a huge ceiling, or he could have 0, and Tokos could just take him down and maybe submit him, maybe ground him. Who knows? So I think you got to play some of Tokos. I'm picking Tafa to get the win, but I have no confidence there. I saw your pick, not to spoil anything, but at first I was like, what in the fuck? How did he do that? And then I started looking at the numbers, and I'm like, okay, it makes some sense. So yeah, 50-50 fight, play both sides, minus 600 ITD. I got to pick Tafa, but I don't trust him.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, which by the way, Sniper wins Tuesday nights live. I'm picking a guy who on screen is 0-2 in the UFC and lost his road to UFC fight. 0-3 on the tracked UFC stats. That's what I think of Junior Tafa. Until he stops the takedown, he's at 77% takedown defense. That's because Sharaf dove how many? 1 of 8.
Usman was 2 of 12.
Right. So look, I'm going to be field weight to Tafa. I'm not going to go under, but I'm going to be over on Tuco Tokos. Love the fight to target. GPP special, minus 600, all that stuff. High variance, yada, yada, yada. If you make me take a stand, I'm going to take Tuco Tokos because takedowns, it's not boxing. It's not kickboxing. You can get taken down. Tuco Tokos is taking down real UFC fighters. Junior Tafa, got to show me. So field on Tafa, over on Tuco Tokos. Don't play it in cash games. Move on about your day. It's actually, while it's a high variance fight, it's one of the most simple to break down in terms of how to approach in MME, which is mass multi-entering if you're playing many lineups if you're new to the game. By the way, if you disagree and say I'm going to go field on Tokos and over on Tafa, that's fine. High variance spot. Agree to disagree. Move on about your day. Let's move on and let's talk Vitor Patrino, Austin Lane. I will not accept any Vitor Patrino slander here. We did pick against him and against Anthony Smith. I will always victory lap that fight because I think it was one of our better calls because we called exactly how it was going to happen.
Yep. Yep.
And
he put himself right into that guillotine, didn't he?
Like exactly. Minus 700 for Patrino. Lane is plus 500. Fight ends inside the distance, minus 800. As we alluded to earlier, Vitor Patrino is up in this upper echelon of salaries. He's 9,600. Austin Lane is 6,600. I did want to look up Vitor Patrino to win inside the distance. Win by KO TKO is minus 240. Fight under 1.5 rounds is minus 160. Minus 170 on Bovada. So, yeah. Monk, how you handling this one?
Yeah, this is probably an all-in fight too, but it's just one side. For the most part, like I don't see. I mean, losing to this is another one that's changing weight classes. This is Patrino's first fight at heavyweight. Austin Lane, exactly. That's true. I mean, he could look like a light heavyweight Patrino in there, and it's still who cares? Like Austin Lane has looked nothing but terrible. Lost to Greg Hardy, first of all. Justin Tafa, Janata Deniz. He's been knocked out in all 6 of his losses. The only guy he's beaten in the UFC is the fraud Robelis de Spain, and he won by a unanimous decision and just landed a couple takedowns because Robelis literally can't stop it if you even look at his legs too hard. And just laid on him for 9. He had 9 minutes of control time and 23 significant strikes. This dude did absolutely nothing. I don't think that's how it's going to go against Vitor Patrino, who is shooting takedowns in many takedowns in every single fight. He's landing very good volume decent volume for the most part. Yeah, I think this is one of my favorite of the higher echelon salaried guys. I mean, I do like Mike Davis, but let's be honest. I mean, the slight $200 salary savings is gigantic in this position. So I think it's Patrino very easily. I'm full fading Austin Lane. Should be a great heavyweight debut for him.
Yeah, I think Austin Lane's going to have trouble stopping the takedowns, 50% defense in his career. This is a good spot for Patrino to make his UFC heavyweight debut.
Man, heavyweight.
You can argue to run a little bit of Austin Lane in GPP just in case because he's cheap and they're big boys. It's one of those. You can make the argument, and I would get it. I'm going to tell you I'm going to X out Austin Lane and just be over to overweight on Patrino. That's how I'm going to approach it. I think he's better everywhere. Agree with the line, big upside, etc. Not a spot I'm going to get cute with. There's a spot coming up I will decide to get cute with, but this is not it. Nate Landwehr, Morgan Charier. Charier is minus 270. Nate the Train plus 230. Fight go to decision minus 140. I was a little surprised by that number. I'm a little surprised you can get plus money on fight ends inside the distance. DraftKings salaries here. Charier is 8,900. Landwehr is 7,300. Monk, who you got for this one? I did go back and forth in this fight. Where'd you land?
I did a little bit as well. I ended up picking Morgan Charier, and it's only because, like you said, I don't get this ITD line or GTD line minus 140. Like I figured this would be, I figured the over under would be at 2.5, but I didn't think the numbers would be like this. Charier can't win a decision. That is known. He's like 5-10 as a pro in decisions. He just cannot win a third round, and he just doesn't know how to win a decision. Whereas Nate Landwehr generally will drop a first round, but then kind of goes nuts in the second and third. Like he'll get beat up a good amount, but he's landing 5.5 or 4.5 strikes a minute in the first, 6.6 in the second, and then over 6 strikes a minute in the third. So he is doing the opposite of slowing down. That said, he's allowing more and more strikes basically as the fight goes on. But Morgan Charier doesn't land a ton. I mean, in round 2, he's landed 5 strikes a minute, but in round 1, it's 3, and it's in round 3, it's 2.5. So he's getting outstruck on average 3.4 to 4.1. where Nate Landwe is as well, but it's 5.6 to 5.7. So I don't think Charier is going to be able to land that volume that Nate Landwe is probably used to. And Landwe, you know, despite being finished 3 times in the UFC, somehow comes across to me as a little bit durable. I don't even know if I can argue that. That's just how I kind of see him in my head. He hasn't been knocked down. Let's see, he got knocked down by Ige and Onama and Julian Erosa. So the Herbert Burns one.
He did get finished by Duho Choi, but he took so much fucking punishment in that fight. He took so many gross elbows.
It was bad. Yeah, only 78 strikes, but still, that's almost 6 strikes a minute because the fight did end in the 14th minute. He ate 4 or 5 takedowns as well and 7 minutes of control time. So Charier has done nothing close to that in the UFC. I mean, he looked good against Miranda, and he looked good against something called a Manolo Zucchini. Other than that, it's been relatively bad. Any kind of step up above Miranda, Nathaniel Wood, Chepe Mariscal, he's looked pretty freaking bad. The Mariscal fight, I mean, there have been close-ish fights. The Nathaniel Wood one was a little bit further away, but yeah, both guys have terrible striking defense. Both guys have pretty good takedown defense. I think this one's going to take place mostly on the feet. And if this gets into like the 7th, 8th, 9th minute, I'm going to be looking at Nate Landwe to get it done in the 3rd round. Not get it done, but at least win round 3 to make this one interesting. So what are our salaries here? 89 for Charier is too much. 73 for Nate Landwe is a great spot, in my opinion, for an underdog play, especially if you're trying to get some of those big salary guys. Because like I said, both guys have shit striking defense, and both guys can land big shots. So give me actually I picked Morgan Charier, but I think this is a 50-50 fight. That's why I wrote in my lineup. In my write-up, I don't understand how this line is what it is. I don't understand the ITD line, and maybe I'm just seeing it wrong, but I picked Charier to barely win, but Nate Landwe is the only one with significant DraftKings upside for me.
I understand the line of Charier being a favorite. I understand the line. Technically, he's really good. Nate Landwe, a little bit reckless, can wear on you. Don't agree with the ITD line because I think Landwe is either going to get a finish with his style late, or he's going to walk into something and that durability is going to start to wane because he takes so much goddamn damage. And we know Charier can finish fights. So I am going to pick Nate Landwe. Like the DraftKings upside more. I think he's going to turn this into a firefight where I think he's got some edges against Charier in that type of fight. I do have concerns. It's really, I kind of agree with you. I think this fight should be closer to Pick'em, but I understand why Charier is the favorite. I'm just going to pick Landwe. This is one I'm probably, the pricing on Charier is a little bit concerning because I'd rather play, we'll talk about him, but Taliesin Teixeira and you know, I'll probably end up with more Charier than I'm leading on because this little range here, this just under sub 9 range, I like, we've covered them already. I like none of the favorites. I'm picking Walker against Injulu. I'm picking Tokos against Tafa, and I'm picking Landwe against Charier. This is kind of my range. I will say, of those, this is probably my 3rd favorite. Like my least confident of those, which I guess makes sense because it's lined the widest. But also for DraftKings, it means I'm more likely. I'll have more Morgan Charier than I will. I think of a good, you know. God, I'm going to end up under on just looking all around him. I'm going to have decisions to make with salary. I'll have more Morgan than I will of Chris Curtis. I'll have more Morgan than I will of Gabriel Bonfim, but that's a hot take for in a little bit that I've been alluding to the entire show. Yeah, give me Nate the Train, decent dog spot here. All right, let's move on and let's talk about. I'm about to get yelled at a bunch. I just picked one underdog. I'm about to pick 2 more in a row, and then not everybody's favorite dog. This is weird,
right?
Let's talk Calvin Kattar and Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia minus now at minus 120 ish. Kattar's about plus 100. Fight ends inside the distance, minus 210. That number seems a little wide to me. Some of these ITD numbers I don't get. That seems a little wide. Plus 170 to go to decision feels pretty good, but Steve Garcia, it's more so on how he fights, I think. Garcia is 8,400, Cater 7,800. Monk, where'd you end up? Tons of stats for you to dive into on this one.
This one is interesting. I mean, if you're just wiki capping, it's like, oh, Garcia's won 5 in a row and Cater's lost 5 of his last 6.
I have to stop you there because there's gonna be half my rant. If you're capping fights like that,
right?
Please stop. I get now. It's not a complete throwaway, but that cannot be your only analysis. He's beat Kyle Nelson, Sung Woo Choi. I think the best win in there probably is Melky Costa, Shilan Narambaka, Chase Hooper. And Chase Hooper was it's a way different Chase Hooper 3 years ago than now. Versus Calvin Cater, who lost to a surging Yusuf Zalal. You could argue it's not a great loss. Fine. You want to make that argument? Okay. But then you got Aljamain Sterling, Arnold Allen, Josh Emmett, Max Holloway. Fucking argue that those are bad losses. Get the fuck out of here. Like, the quality of competition means something. And you get plus 100 on Calvin Cater. The biggest issue is the age and the durability, and that's valid. And the losing streak, I get it, but I think we overcorrected here at plus 100. So sorry, Monk. But the wiki capping set me off because I got into not a Twitter argument, but somebody else was giving their thoughts on the card, and I responded on X, and I was like, listen, it goes a little bit further than this lost 4 in a row.
Yeah,
it's a little deeper.
Exactly. Now the problem there is he's gotten either outstruck or out controlled in every single one of those losses. But the guys are like the best at flyweight. Zalal's not the best. But, much like Zia, he also discovered like a magic potion, and now he's looks phenomenal. Steve Garcia, the Nelson fight, not the best win, but Nelson looked decent in his last fight, actually surprisingly decent in his last fight. The Melky Costa win is good. The Chase Hooper win is good. The loss to Maashate is not good. Not good whatsoever, and Violent Bob Ross as well. But those two were pretty early in his career. Either way, he is knocking people down or getting knocked down, and that is how basically every single Steve Garcia fight ends, other than the Luis Pena fight. That is literally how they've all ended. Calvin Cater's kind of the opposite. He tends to go to decision because he's extremely tough. He got hit with 55,000 strikes against Max Holloway and didn't. Yeah, it was almost 18 strikes a minute for 25 minutes, guys. That's 50, insane.
42. 50,
it's 42. Insane. 50-42 is crazy. But yeah, so you can't really, So yeah, Calvin Cater gets outstruck 4.6 to 6.2. Well, what does it look like if you take that fight out? It's much, much closer. But like I said, in his losses, outside of the Holloway fight included, he's still getting outstruck. He's getting out taken down. He's getting out controlled for the most part. The Dan Ige win is great. Finish of Jeremy Stevens. Finish of Ricardo Lamas. All those are very good. I don't know if I agree with the ITD line. Steve Garcia fights tend to end inside the distance where Caters don't. And I think Garcia has a chance early on, but as the fight goes on, this dude has only seen a second round 2 or 3 times in his UFC career, to decision once. That has to favor Calvin Cater. The strength of schedule simply favors Calvin Cater. Both of them have pretty poor striking defense for the most part. Garcia has the better striking offense, but again, that's likely a function of who he's been fighting compared to who Calvin Cater has been fighting. So I've said this 2 or 3 times now, but I'm going to say it again. This is kind of a 50-50 fight to me. I could even see that it leans Calvin Cater. I ended up picking Steve Garcia. I waffled back. Is that how you say that? Is it I use that properly? Went back and forth on these guys. I just picked Steve Garcia. I don't have a problem if you pick Cater, and I love this fight for DraftKings. Just play it. The prices here are crazy, 84 and 78. These are fantastic numbers. I think Garcia has a bit higher of a ceiling, but that might be wrong if this goes to decision. So picked Garcia. I'll probably be close to 50-50 on DraftKings, but I like this fight a lot.
Remember earlier when I was saying I'm going to underweight, X this guy out. Now I get to the point where I can start being overweight on both sides. I will be overweight, fielder over to both of these guys because of that minus 210 number, even though I think it's a little bit wide. The volume here, the salaries, all entertaining. I'm going to side with Calvin Cater for all the reasons we just mentioned. I'm not going to rehash them. I'll side with Calvin Cater. I don't want to shit totally on the Garcia pick because I get it. I just think too much of the wiki capping is creeping in this week. I'll side with Cater. I get why Garcia is where he is. GPP only. Well, I would argue, and I think I put this somewhere, if Cater's your last man in cash, I don't hate it. It's risky, but you got to draw a line somewhere. I do like Calvin Cater in this fight. So give me Cater, but it's a fight to get both sides of in GPP as I punch my microphone away from me.
Yeah, I mean, even in all of those 5 losses we just mentioned, not one knockdown from his opponents.
All right, let's talk Stephen Thompson, Gabriel Bonfim. Know where I'm going. Been alluding to it the whole show. Gabriel Bonfim, -400. Stephen Thompson, +300. Fight ends inside the distance is -155. Bonfim is, I think, unreasonably priced at 9,300. Stephen Thompson is 6,900. Before I clearly give my opinion on it, or it's clear where it's going to go, Monk, what do you got for Bonfim Thompson?
This is another one that kind of surprised me when I picked because I was leaning Bonfim, to be honest. I mean, just 15-year age gap. I think that's happened like twice in the UFC.
That is my biggest problem with this fight is the age, is where Thompson is in his career.
Also, I guess it's twice at welterweight. It's happened 20 times total in the UFC, and the older guy is 20% overall, has not yet won at welterweight. I'm going against that. I'm agreeing with you. I'm picking Stephen Thompson outright.
The Stephen Thompson podcast. Let's go. Wonder Boy MMA.
Exactly. Cue the Jack Black or the Tenacious D music. That might be a bad pick, but I'm taking it. Like, I think why can't Stephen Thompson just point fight Bonfim? All he has to do is like stuff a couple of takedowns, which I know is easier said than done. But look who's taking him down: Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad, Shavkat Rakhmonov, who was only 1 of 5. I mean, the Buckley one wasn't the best, 4 of 7, but I mean, against those other 3, like nobody else is taking him down other than basically the best wrestlers in the entire division for the most part. Bonfim has, he's 5-1. He's beat Chaos Williams, Ange Lusa, Trevin Giles, Munir Lazez, and Trey Waters. Like, that does nothing for me whatsoever. Chaos looked like absolute dog shit in his last fight, and Ange Lusa completely fell apart to my guy Phil Rowe in that 3rd round after easily winning the first 12 and a half minutes. The loss to Dow.
I love that Phil Rowe knockout.
That was great. That was great. Shout out to Phil Rowe. That Nicholas Dalby fight, why can't the exact same thing happen here? Like, he was taken down 3 of 5 times, but he point fought his way to basically a finish actually in the 2nd round over Bonfim. So, Dalby might be regarded as, the Brazilian killer, but I don't see why Stephen Thompson can't pretty much replicate that game plan for the most part. I mean, Dalby, all he did was attritional striking, and he did it at 5.5 strikes a minute, and it wore the shit out of Gabriel Bonfim. So while Bonfim is probably fine for some GPP exposure, I don't think you should sleep on Stephen Thompson. Even at the 15-year age gap, even if he's 42 years old, even if he's lost however many he's lost, 4 out of 5. I'm going with Thompson. I think both fighters have upside, but at whatever these salaries are, 93, like you said, I'm paraphrasing, but just an absolute terrible salary on Bonfim. So I got to go with Thompson here.
Yeah, I can't play Bonfim at 9,300. Aside from it'll be sub 10% Bonfim, but you got Patrino, Davis. I would even argue I want to play Chris Curtis more than I want to play Gabriel Bonfim. Now, the issue with all of that is what you hit on is Stephen Thompson's 42 years old, and the wheels are kind of starting to come off, but it's still the best he's fighting.
Yeah.
My worry is that this is a fight we look at in 2 years and go, yeah, see, he lost it, but like this is the fight that kind of like, see, he really fell off here. And I feel like if Thompson loses, the gloves could come off, and there's a lot of things in there, but a prime Stephen Thompson, I think, styles on Bonfim. You stop a couple takedowns, you point fight, frustrate the shit out of him. The issue is he prime? Probably not. I think he's probably still good enough. I think this line is too wide. I'll favor Thompson. I would play more Bonfim on other cards, but because of the other fighters around him and some of the salaries, I'll end up underweight to Gabriel Bonfim. Give me Stephen Thompson to pull the upset point fight his way, stop a couple takedowns, and frustrate Gabriel Bonfim. And please just stay conscious, Wonder Boy. Please stay conscious.
Yeah, even if the gloves do come off, man, what a fucking I mean,
what
there's not a lot of people better at welts, honestly, like overall.
All right, main event time. Derek Lewis. His balls is hot. We all love him. He's an underdog. People seem to have a problem with this.
Another 15-year age gap too.
Remember how I didn't let my hatred of Chris Curtis tap into my capping here? You can't let your love of Derek Lewis tap into your capping either.
Very
Tyler Teixeira, he is younger. I get it. Super young. Probably not ready for a main event in terms of the spotlight. But he's minus 270. Lewis is plus 230. Under 1.5 rounds is minus 210. Who gives a fuck that it's scheduled for 5 rounds, guys? It's minus 210 to end under 1.5. Minus 475 to end under 2.5. Don't really foresee this one. It could. We've all seen it before. But I'll be laughing my ass off when we get to rounds 4 and 5 of Lewis Teixeira. Like, I will be drunk and enjoying myself.
Yeah.
Teixeira is 9,000. Lewis is 7,200. Monk, who you got?
I love how Derek Lewis, whatever fight that was in his post-fight speech, where he's like, "Stop giving me 5-round fights. I don't want them." Well, that's what 7 of his last 10 fights have been 5-round fights. Probably even more than that.
He wants that main event money. Dana's like, "Listen, it's main event money," and Lewis and Derek's like, "Okay."
It's like, fine, then I'll just get fucking subbed in 3 minutes.
He's like, "Shit." All right.
Yeah. But could have the best fight IQ in the entire fucking league, with his talk about grabbing the cage and kicking in the nuts. Like, that's just smart. That's just real smart fighting.
He's like, you're gonna be cheating in fights.
Yeah, you have to. They don't take points, and they don't. So unless you have that one guy who was reffing against Pena Harrison, I mean, that was the best ref I've seen in a decade. It took points immediately. So yeah, we need more of that. But until then, Derek Lewis is absolutely right. I mean, I'm just vamping. There's not much to say here. Like, you just play these guys. Play them both. I'm going to be heavier on Teixeira. He's got the height advantage. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage. He's got the 15-year age gap, but his wins tell me nothing. Derek Lewis, obviously fighting the much better competition. I mean, both guys, actually, we haven't seen it from Teixeira. Lewis can be taken down. We're not going to see that happen with Teixeira. It's going to be, whoever lands last, basically, is who you're going to want in your lineup. So play them both. I picked Tyson Teixeira. But yeah, there's not much else to say here. Just get these guys in your lineups. One of them's going maybe not to sleep, but getting knocked out. And Derek Lewis at 40, I mean, we might just see that. So give me Teixeira. But even if you pick Lewis, I got no argument, no complaints, just as long as you're playing both sides.
Look, knocked out by Ty, knocked out by Sergey. Pavlovich.
Yep.
Like, he can beat the grapplers. Nascimento, Rogerio de Lima, who I cashed a huge bet on. This line got, because Lewis had lost 3 straight. This line got stupid. I remember this one. I cashed
at the end, I think.
Yeah, I cashed a huge bet. This line was dumb. Couldn't, Almeida, different level of grappling, but
yes,
they're gonna stand and bang. Tyson Teixeira is young, strong, athletic,
and wants to prove a point.
Lewis is slowing down. Capping wise, I have to go with Tyson Teixeira. Do not stack this in cash games. It is not a stackable fight. If you feel strongly about one side or the other, I don't hate it. I don't hate running either guy in cash. If it's like a bet on them, pretty much. Reason being, and actually I'm gonna change this here. Reason being, if you like Derek Lewis, even if he scores like 5 to 10, I think there's better plays, but he's 7,200. If Dallas Teixeira, if you're on him, favorite side, big upside. I think it's fine. I'm on Teixeira for the reasons we talked about. Younger, athletic. Lewis is slowing down, but it is an all-in situation. If these guys, the winner of this fight doesn't end up on the optimal, I probably didn't take down a tournament. I'm going to be like, God, I really have you on Teixeira. I don't know, 75% to share, 20% Derek Lewis, 25% Derek Lewis. Like, I want to get over the field. And everyone's picking Derek Lewis saying, Teixeira's not right. Like, I've seen a lot of Lewis love, and I love him too. If he wins, I'll smile, and hopefully that's my lineup that pops. That'll be my double. That'll be my Mike Davis, Vitor Patrino pay up lineup. Hopefully that hits a GPP. But I have to pick Thompson Teixeira GPP fight. Now that's all 12 fights, but do not go anywhere yet. We are not done. We got to talk kill shots. If you are new, first of all, new or returning, hit the like button, share with your friends, reshare, repost, all the good stuff. Appreciate you guys. A kill shot is an under-owned GPP play who can help you win a tournament. That means no Derek Lewis, no Thompson Teixeira. You can't be eating chalk. I'm probably going to say that there was another heavyweight fight on here. What was it? Like Tafa Tukos. That does not qualify as a kill shot. Going to be way too popular there. Something a little bit sneaky. Doesn't going to be 5% sneaky, but a little bit sneaky that can help you win a tournament. Does not matter. Underdog, favorite. Just cannot. Got to be a little bit sneaky. Monk, you got one queued up for us?
Yeah, there's not a lot for me to choose from, and I don't think I'm going to take yours if I choose this one. I'm going to go with the other heavyweight fight. I'm going to pick Walter Walker as my kill shot. I don't feel the most comfortable with it.
All right, I think it's bored. Give us a backup, because I think that fight's going to be pretty chalky. But give us a backup. I think I got to hold you to it because
there's not much. I mean, Nate Landwe is going to be real high owned, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where you're. I assume you're going with the old man. So I don't want to take that. I don't know. I guess
that can be your honorable mention. That's fine.
Okay. I was going to say as well. Cater if there's nothing else, but
that's the back. That's my
yeah.
I think that's the move. I have Stephen Thompson as my kill shot, as we talked about. I think Bonfim's a little bit overhyped. People are doubting out Thompson too soon. And my backup, if say Monk was going to take Thompson, I was going to go Calvin Cater. Same type of thing. Level of competition does matter. And if you want to get real sneaky, guy I've been talking myself onto more and more over. I mean, the card just came out. The more I've looked at this, getting ready for the podcast, that I seem to, every time I look at my exposures or planning, I keep to bump them up just a little bit. Bichiti and Jaquani. I keep wanting to play a little more. I don't really know why, because the numbers say it should be field or under, but 8,200. I don't know. Something about the spot I like. So I gave out 3 today. Full of kill shots. That's what we got for UFC Fight Night. Lewis versus Teixeira. One more time, smash the like button, share with your friends, join us at DFS Army, get access to more cheat sheet, more picks, domination station optimizer, ownership projections, straight up projections, all the good stuff there. Follow me at Sniper Wins. Do these live on Tuesday nights at 9:30 Eastern. Recordings in the DFS Army YouTube and YouTube channels and everywhere. Follow Monk for all his great breakdowns at Monk Maddox. Monk, MMATICS, Monk Maddox. I know he's got a Patreon going with some more MMA content as well. Make sure to go and check that out. Appreciate all you guys who watch, listen, support, talk in the Discord. Monk, got anything before we head out?
That is about it. I'm looking forward to this one, and it's a nice little aperitif to UFC 318 next week.
That will do it for us, guys. Good luck in your contest. Helmet up, and we'll see you next time.